Good, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning once again. Morgan has done a really fantastic job in that first session. So can we give him a hand? Yeah, so he has done such a good job that he has disoriented what I wanted to present. So that's how good he is. But I want to try something different because the whole point of this session is for you to come out with like a practical knowledge of the money world. Sawa sawa. So I want to make it as practical as possible. Uliza maswali zote zenye unaweza uliza. If probably this session will not be enough, we'll probably even have the afternoon. You can find me even in the corridors during lunchtime. I'll always be willing and ready. So I want to start with just an intriguing question for all of us. If, for example, your account is credited with 86,000 shillings 400 every single day, but the condition is, oh, by the way, if you're given 1 billion shillings, 1 billion Kenyan shillings, it's not a lot of money. You see, okay, 1 billion shillings is a lot of money because 1 billion translates to about, hata nikikupatia 25k every single day for the next 100 years, you'll still not have finished the 1 billion shillings. That's how massive 1B is. But now I want to put an intriguing question to you. If you're given 86,400 shillings every single morning, the condition is, one, if you don't utilize the money by midnight, it disappears. You can't take tomorrow's money to today. You can't save it. You have to use it all. Sawa sawa. So the condition is you can't use it. So how many of us would actually, ninajua tunaweza enda bash after bash, si ndio? But there is something different. Each and every one of us in this room, we are given that 86,400, but not in terms of money. In terms of what? Seconds. Every one of us gets 86,400 seconds every day. Whatever you don't use by midnight, it disappears. So the game that we want to play today, it's not a game for money. It's a game for what? For time. Because the question really about money, it's not, unajua tunaona the whole point ni kutengeneza do sahi sahi, si ndio? But no one makes money that fast. So I'll give you an example of someone. How many of us know Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett. Oh, by the way, Morgan is here. Whoever is answering the most questions, the most relevant questions, they're going to get a gift at the end of this session. So that so since it's a talk about money, the gift has to be money. So lazima tuongee. Si ndio? Wewe usijali. Mimi ndakupanga. Sawa sawa. So he'll be checking it. So how many of us know Warren Buffett? We do. He's the CEO of which company? Berkshire Hathaway. Good. He's the 9th richest person in the world with about $150 billion. But what most people don't get is he made much of that money after the 60th birthday. But most people think that you normally make money amekuwa na do time yake yote. But the whole point of this talk is for you to realize we are going to have the booklets that are before you. Usifungue, I'll just explain to you. I'll try and have us have a practical example of how much money after maybe campo you normally you can get We will start with a simple example of 70,000. See how much you get after tax. Then with that, we see how you're going to budget it. We see how much inaenda kwa gava, tuone ni how much yenye inaenda kwa needs, tuone how much, so that you can have a clear view of how to use your money. Sawa sawa. My name is Titus Kamanja Maina. I did finance in campus. I'm in financial technology, or what is often called fintech. So basically, my work is to move money from one place to the other, either through crypto, disbursements, remittances, or stable coins, or even local currency, now Kenya shillings. I've worked in both fintech and real estate here in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Istanbul. That's where I've worked. So I want us to start the talk today with a simple example. So since Morgan did the bit of the investments, I want to jump straight to MMF, SACCOs, treasury bills, bonds, all that. And I want us to ask as many questions as possible. So then when we finish that, we go to the practical example. And remember, whoever asks many questions and relevant questions, they get what? They get money. Kichele. Vile inafaa. So I'll go to money market funds. So I'll just refine what Morgan said about money markets and put a different sense of what money markets are. Ideally, I tell people, don't save your money in a bank account. Why? Why? Because your money needs to work for you. Sawa sawa. If you put 10,000 shillings in a bank account, in 1 month, it doesn't give you anything. Sindio? But now, we have different things. Tuko na MMF. And now Safaricom, through their Safaricom Capital subsidiary, wako na Zidi. Sindio? But we have others that are very similar. So like, every insurance company has an MMF. The good thing about MMF is, it earns you interest. And nowadays, it earns you interest on a daily basis. So you can put 10K today, by kesho, the same time, it has earned you interest. The good thing about it is, these 2 shillings yenye inaweza kuwa imekupatia ma 3 shillings, ni pesa yenye haukuwa nayo. Si ndio? So it builds you up. Umeelewa? But if I put my money in a bank account, in a current account, then that means your pesa hainisaidii. So now there are other banks which have come with something different. So like, for example, SIB Bank, which is, I think it's a Malawian bank operating in Kenya. They have opened up an account whereby it earns you interest on a daily basis like MMF. So if you're considering that probably you don't want to go the MMF way, you can always open up a bank account with account like SIB. There are also other alternatives like fixed FIDs, fixed income deposit accounts. So with those ones, you put money for a specific period of time. It can be 3 months, can be 1 year, can be 10 years, depending. But now the trick with that is, nikiekelea do yangu hapo, I can't remove that money until the term has elapsed. Umeelewa? So nikienda ni sign a bank niwaambie nataka mchukue hii mita yangu moja, na nataka hiyo mita moja ikae hapo 6 months. Siwezi withdraw hiyo pesa for 6 months. That's the thing with FDs. If you're going to write a letter to them and ask that you have an emergency, kuna pesa yenye unatoanga kwa hiyo FD. Umeelewa? Ni the same thing as having a loan. If you're having a loan, for example, kama tuseme a car loan or even mortgage. If you take a mortgage of 25 mic for the houses, and it gives you maybe 15 to 20 to 25 years, ikifika the 10th year ushindo kulipa, banka inanga huruma, haita consider the amount of money you have paid. So they'll take the entire money you have paid and they take your house. Melao. So that's the other side of loans. So lazima you consider all these things. Morgan did a good job in saying the bad debts and the good debts. And the good debt, it's the one that you actually buy an investment that actually works for you. Sawa sawa. But the bad debts ni zile zenye unachukuanga and then tunaenda summer tides. Hizo ndio mbaya. So, but the whole idea is always have the conversation in your mind that what you're trying to do is your money needs to work for you. However kidogo iko aje, it creates discipline. I'll ask you a question. I think it was Simon Sinek who said that if you were to take, 3% of the world, of the richest people in the world control all the money. It's only 3% who control the entire money. If you were to take that money and we give it and distribute it to everyone else, in 10 to 20 years, that money will go back to the 3%. Why? Because habits amplify money. Melewa? Habits amplify money. It's never a question of how much you're earning. It's the discipline that you're creating with that money. So inaweza kuwa ni pesa kiasi sana. Inaweza kuwa tu ni 10K. Inaweza kuwa ni 15K. Some of us when we were starting, I started out my internship at Citibank. We were earning around 15K. So your 15K ilikuwa inakaa ni kitu kidogo, but if you can take like 5 Gs, you take it to an MMF. It builds a form of discipline that helps you even when you get more money. Because habits amplify what? Money. Always remember that. So that's on MMF. You can try different MMFs. Kila banks are on an MMF. CIC is the best for anyone who is thinking of MMFs as well. ZD na kuanga poa, especially if you're starting. Uko na ile pesa kidogo, so you can always rusha with your M-Pesa. Sanlam also is doing a good job also, Old Mutual. There's also Zotica, if I'm not wrong, Zotica. It's also good. So you can also consider those even when you're considering MMF. So I'll go to the next one. I think it is. So I'll go to the next one, SACCOs. This is pretty simple. I think tukiangalia we consider, tunafikirianga hizi ni za watu wazee. Si ndio? Hizi ni vitu za watu wazee. So I'll give you a different approach with SACCOs. So the good thing about SACCOs ni, one, is their interest rates. So I always tell people, if you're going to save your money through SACCO, you have to save your money with a project in mind. Mesikia? So probably you want to buy mat. Na unataka hiyo mat ingie mat ya ronga, si ndio? If you want to buy that mat, how much is that mat? Nani anajua ya 32 sita? Nani anajua mat ni how much? Hata sisikii, nasikia degrees. Nani anajua mat ni how much? Mat is about 6 mic. You are 37 seater. It's around 6 mic. So the good thing about SACCOs kitu yenye nakusaidianga ni, if you put a certain amount of money, they give you a loan 3 times that amount. So if I've saved 2 mic, they give me how much? 6 mic. Okay? But how much is the loan? How much is the loan? How much is the loan? You have 4 million, exactly. Because umewapatia 2 mics, ndio? But the loan is 4 mic. So the good thing about the loan, ya SACCO, is that they give you about 12.5 to around 13% per annum on a reducing balance. So let me explain what reducing balance is. Nikichukua loan sahi kwa bank, mostly it's not usually on a reducing balance. The interest is usually on the principal plus the interest you're supposed to pay. So, but on a loan, the interest is usually on what? The principal amount. So the more you're reducing your principal, the less you're paying in terms of what? Of interest. That's why unaonanga wase wengi hata sasa nikienda kubai gari, for example nataka kubai sub. Ama yako ni gani? Si ndio? tuseme sub, unakamse sub. So nikichukua sub, for example, nichukue sub, right now NCBA is the bank that mostly gives people the car loans. They'll give you a financing of up to 90%. So the 90%, it's usually computed on a reducing balance. So for example, if it's 1.8, I think, watanipatia how much if it's 1.8? Watanipatia 1620, 1.620. So it's usually on a reducing balance. So the more you're paying on the principal ya 1620, the less interest you pay over time. Umeelewa? So that's the good thing. So the thing with SACCOs ni ati inakupatia less interest, which is usually about 12.5 to 13%, depending on the SACCO that you're in. So we kama unataka kunini kuchukua kitu fulani, you give them, you save there for 6 months, and then 3 times that they give you. So they'll take for example, the land ama the nini ya gari as collateral, security. Collateral, I mean security. They take it as security. So that is SACCO. Sasa, any questions so far? Any questions so far? Kama mtaki pesa, si ndio? Haya. Acha tuende. This is SACCO. So I'll go to treasury bills. Treasury bills are usually a way for government to borrow its own people. So they raise money through 2 things: a treasury bill and a treasury bond. For a treasury bond, it's usually tied to an infrastructure. Sawa sawa. So by that I mean, a treasury bill is usually very short term. There is a 91 day, 182, and 361. That's the term period. So the good thing about treasury bills ni ati, most people prefer them because unajua tu gava haiwezi kosa kukulipa. Unajua hawezi, hii yetu siko sure, but ideally like gava haiwezi kosa kupatia do. So the limit you kwa 100k, you give them 100,000 and they give you for the term limit an amount of money. So there's usually a bid that happens. So it bids, unapatia na so yako, for example, they give you a 6%, a 5% per annum. It's good money since your pesa aikai place moja. Unaona? Aikai place moja. But now, ukisikia mazee, na niko na do nimetengeneza kwa ule jamaa wa forex. Akiweza tengeneza do yake fiti, aseme, bebe kuliko hii pesa ikae hapa, wacha niende na bond. So a bond gives you like 3 years to around 15, depending on the infrastructure itself. So for example, like hii barabara ya Mau Summit, it's being constructed by what? Who knows? Not the counselors. I need the students. Hii pesa nitarudi nayo nyumbani vizuri. Whether the money is in dollars, by the way. Yeah. So for the Mau Summit, it's being constructed by an NSSF. So NSSF, it's a form of an infrastructure bond, but in terms of like wanna make dough out of all the payments that we give them, is a NSSF contribution. Okay? So instead ya hiyo pesa ikae na NSSF, wanatumia hiyo pesa to make money. It's like they're lending to the government. They make money so that you and I, after tumeshafika ile miaka ya wazee, tukipewa pesa yetu iko fine, thank you. Naelewa? Iko fine, thank you. So that is treasury bills and treasury bonds. Sawa sawa. Enye najua ni hapa hivi ni enye najua watu wengi wako na maswali mingi chatafika. So there is shares. Shares ni rahisi. Shares, ideally you go to a broker. If you want to invest in shares, shares is not a short-term place to make money. It's a long-term view. Sasa, because there are 2 markets in shares. There is bullish and there is bearish. Nani huyo amesema bearish? Uko na point moja. Morgan kumbuka, ako na point moja. Aya. So there is bullish and bearish. Sawa sawa. So the people who buy when the shares are pesa kidogo with the hope that zita increase and then you sell them. Umeelewa? So there's something called insider information, which is wrong. But ideally, ukisikia leo, kesho equity wanataka ku announce their profits, na usikie wali make 50% profit, you go and buy equity shares. Umeelewa? So ukibuy equity shares, kesho waki announce, zitakuwa zimepanda. Umeelewa? So zikipanda, wewe umemake pesa yako, unaweza jitoa. But sasa the thing with that is, for insider information is utashikwa. But ideally it's usually for the people wenye probably you're a CFO in equity, unajua kesho ndo tunaangusha hizo audited financials, nini, so you can be able to play around with that. But ukishikwa, weni uko kivyako, kamiti ni miaka 10. So that's shares. You can look at it. You can open a CDS account. There are brokers like Kingdom Securities, your cooperative. You can actually think about that as well. I remember when the first time I invested in shares, I invested shares, the first time ilikuwa ya KQ. So, makosa ikafanyika. So tukaambiwa, KQ mali wamefika wanasupportiwa na gava. Your time shares ilikuwa I think 14 shillings or something like that. So saita itapanda. Boss, ilishuka from 14 to 2 shillings. Hata sijaiendea hiyo pesa. Hiyo pesa ilienda hivyo. So that's the thing with shares. You have to think about it long term. So you have to do your research on the company. So for example like Kakuzi, they do agricultural. They are now in Kenya, I think Rwanda, and Zimbabwe or Malawi, if I'm not wrong. In 2014, their shares were about 92 shillings. Right now, one share is about 468 shillings. But you see, that's 10 years. So mse mwenye invest pesa hiyo, you get to have that margin, but for 10 years. So that's the thing with shares. You have to think about it long term. Ukifikiria ati utakelea pesa saa hii upate kesho, it's not a way for you to invest. So you have to think about that as well. Sawa. I'll go to one I don't think that most people know, but maybe I may ask. Who knows about special funds? Who knows about special funds? Hakuna? Nitarudi na pesa yangu vizuri. Anyone? Sawa. So ideally, right now we have 2 funds in Kenya, which are the majority. There is Mansa X and there is Oak. Sasa. So the idea with them is that they take your money, they invest in overseas market. So they'll invest in Japan, they invest in Europe, they invest in US, and then they give you an interest at the end of the year. But now shida inakuanga, for I think Mansa X, the minimum amount of money you can invest is about 250,000. For Oak, the minimum is around 500K. Na hiyo pesa, you can't remove that money until the term has ended. But the good thing is, Mansa X gave about 20% net last year. Oak gave 19.67 last year. There is no investment which is going to give you that much in Kenya right now. But now you need money. But the idea is, even as you're here, as you're building friendship, mkishapata job, kuna mse utakuja tu mwambie ni aje, can we open an MMF? That's what we did when we were in campus. We opened up an MMF with around 5 guys. Tukajiambia tukipata job, tutakuwa tunatoa 5K every month. Unaona? So your 5K every month, after like a year, kila mtu ametoa 60K, 60K, 60K. So if you're 5, that's 300K. Umeona? So the 300K, all of you open up an account kwa Mansa X ama Oak Fund. It gives you money over time. Juu unaona hiyo 5K, hauhitaji sai pase. Umeelewa? Ni pesa yenye unaweza patiana tu for the time being. The good thing about you guys is that you're young. Right now, most of us, even when you're 30 or 30 something, you have no idea of such things. So for you, you can be able to start early on and even think about these things. So that's special fund. I'll go to crypto. I will not talk much about this because najua kuna maswali mingi sana. But I'll just put a basic information of what crypto is so that you can all understand. There's a gentleman who stood, I think it was you, Sindo. He did a very good job at trying and explain what crypto is. But basically, crypto is your trading in currencies. Sasa. So currencies are traded in pairs. What I mean in pairs is you change USD to Kenya shillings. So ama USD to UGX, that's Ugandan shillings. Ama TZS, which is Tanzanian shillings. So it's a market where you trade in the currencies. But now people take advantage because of how volatile the movement of prices are. So that's why he was saying something called positions. So you normally put an amount of money in a certain position. If the market is very volatile, you can put an amount of money for 5 minutes ama 10 minutes na unaweza tengeneza pesa yako. But now even the opposite is true, and that's the experience with most people. Utaweka pesa yako lakini itaishia because the currencies move very fast. Umeelewa? So what you're saying about leverage, there's something called brokers create a leverage. So in that market, you can only put a single lot is about $100,000. But most people hawana $100,000. So they give you a leverage. So if you go to FX Pesa or HF Market, they normally give you a leverage of 100:1. So then that means if you're given 100:1, in the lot you're 100,000, you're supposed to give what? 1,000 shillings, $1,000. So the $1,000, ukiekelea, they give it in a single position. If you make money, you make money not for the 1,000, but for the entire lot, the 100,000. So that's what you were saying. So the profits are not on the $1,000 peke yake. It's only on the 100,000. Melewa? The opposite is true. If you make loss, you don't make loss on the 1,000. You make loss on what? The 100,000. So that's why unasikia wase wengi wakisema, hey, nimeekelea do yangu. I think kuna kansela moja tumeongea naye sasa, ameniambia leo asubuhi ameekelewa 10k ikaenda. So inakuanga hivyo. The market is very volatile. But now it has even changed because now you can trade in commodities. So like right now, if you're trying to make money and you're trading in gold, there's a high likelihood you're not making a lot of money because gold is a little bit stable right now. Mona. So you're not going to be able to make a lot of money. So that's the thing with crypto. Sawa sawa. I mean, with Forex. Actually, nime confused. That was Forex. Sawa. Crypto is easy. Who can tell me 2 cryptos they know? Very easy. Ethereum, good.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Silvanus Lemayo. The
Yes.
2 cryptos are Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those are the major ones.
Very good. Bitcoin, Ethereum. So those are blockchain. So ideally, what crypto is hid by a cryptograph. So a cryptograph ideally means, wacha nianzie place yenye tunaweza understand si wote. We have Central Bank of Kenya. Sindio? Na tuko na Central Bank of, everywhere you go, there's usually a central bank. Sindio? Either Uganda, TZ, Central Bank. Okay? That monetary system is what we call a centralized monetary system. So there is one person who is governing how money is supposed to be collected in a certain locality. Umeelewa? So now crypto came, so we have Bitcoin, which came. So Bitcoin gives what we call a decentralized form of government, a form of sending money, but then they hide the money with cryptography so that that particular money, hata nikitumia msemonya kwa majuu, gava yes jua ni mimi nimetuma. Umeelewa? So it hides the identity of the money. Umeelewa? So that's what ideally blockchain does. Most people go into blockchain. For example, like right now, the president of the States, anaitwaje, Donald Trump, has made, I think, about $548 million last year out of crypto. It's money that you can make, but even here, ni ile yenye unaekelea, and then you wait for the prices to increase. But now for people like us who are in fintech, we use that to send money. So mse mwenye ako Ukraine sahi ama Russia, you can be able to send them bitcoins. So a normal transfer, so if you're transferring money within Kenya, we call it an RTGS. But if we're transferring money outside Kenya, we call it what? A SWIFT transfer. So a SWIFT transfer is when you unatuma do mbali. So ukituma hiyo do mbali, it normally takes you about 10 to 14 days. But with crypto, it takes less than a minute for you to send that money. So then that's why right now in Kenya, we have what we're calling stable coins. There are two stable coins. Who knows them? There are two stable coins. Who knows them? Mkono iko wapi? Yes?
USDT, USDC.
Good. Very good. So what a stable coin is, a stable coin is a crypto that is backed by a fiat. Fiat is what I call money. Fiat ni pesa. Sawa. So you have a cryptocurrency that is backed up by a dollar. But now you have two. There is USDT and USDC. For the USDT, it's the one yenye nitatuma. It's a decentralized form of sending money. Nitatuma, but watu hawatajua ni nani ametuma. But USDC, you will know because it's controlled by the US government. Umeelewa? So those are the two differences. Sijui kama niko na, let me try and see if I can show you. So in stable coins, there are two types of stable coins. Kuna two types of wallets. There is hot wallet and cold wallet. Let me see if I can be able to show you an example of a hot wallet. Lakini si ati mniibie pesa nikitoka hapa. Siko sure kama I can be able to do that. If I'm going to be able to do this, you will be very lucky. I need to be connected to the same Wi-Fi for me to be able to do that. So maybe I'll just ask you, kujo ni connected to the same Wi-Fi, nitoe yangu, Wi-Fi settings, so that I can show you an example of a hot wallet and a cold wallet, so that you understand how stable coins work. Sorry. Anyway, imekata. So if you find me during lunchtime, I'll show you how the hot wallet works. So you can send money anywhere, and you're going to be able to send it in under 1 minute. So that's how wallets work. Any question before we move now to the practical? Any question? So far, niko na watu wawili. Niko na Morgan na niko na ule jama wa USDT, USDC. Sindio? So those two people. Yes.
Okay, this is a question just out of curiosity. Umesema sahi gold iko stable so I make profits or something. But kuna time kila mtu alikuwa na advice hiyo trade in gold. What changed? Ama nini ilikuwa inafanya ikuwe favorable back then?
Nilijua tu swali ya kwanza itakuwa ya forex. So ideally, why people no one likes something that is stable, because haitengenezi pesa. That's the whole point of forex. You need something that is so volatile. Naweza ekelea pale pesa yangu in 5 minutes nipate pesa yangu. But you need to understand the market itself. Umeelewa? So now for gold, it's a stable currency because every other government in the world uses or rather stashes their currency in gold. It backs up the entire money in gold. So with time, because of maybe interest, inflation, market sentiments, hizo vitu zote, gold you fluctuate. But at the moment, it's not fluctuating as much. So that's why people, sahi wakiingia, most people will want to go to the commodities market sahi kwa forex than gold. You'll make money there. Yeah. Any other question before we? Hey, mtaka kuchukua pesa yangu. So 2 points to 2 points, 1 point. Probably you have one here.
Okay, thank you. My name is Gabriel Ngangi Monova, KT 357. Yes. So my question is, from what you've talked about, I have realized that everything needs money to get there. So now, someone like me who is maybe in school, and I want to invest. I don't have the collateral. Where can I get money maybe to invest in those things? Is there a loan that I can get without those collateral? Yeah.
Let's clap for Gabriel. Yes. Ameuliza swali yenye kila mtu alikuwa anataka kuuliza, si ndio? But you see, you're asking the wrong question. And why you're asking the wrong question is, let me give you an example. If right now you're to win a lottery ya 1 billion Kenya shillings, ninajua watu wengi hapa wako za mimi na shida tumeachana. Like hiyo mwendo umeumaliza, si ndio? But why is it that 98% of all the lottery winners in the world, they all go broke after 5 years? Why?
They have bad money habits.
Bad money habits. The question is not the money. It's the discipline to build money. You know, right now, if you go to Stanford for business school, the one thing they'll teach you is on Warren Buffett's Hathaway. Sindio? But what people forget ni ati omse ametengeneza pesa yake after 60 years. So sahi mimi niko 22, nataka kutengeneza hiyo pesa yake sahi. But he may take like 40 years to be able to build that. Look at someone like the owner of Centum, Chris Kirubi. Even him, he built it for a very long time before even people recognized him. So people are different. You can, but the idea today, it's not that nikupatie 1 million sai. One of the people that is going to win those questions, I'm going to give them their first investment into either an MMF or something. But the idea for me today is for you to create a discipline that helps you over time to create money. Sawa. I know it's not the answer that you want. Najua unataka pesa sahi sahi. Sasa unajua ungekuwa sama tight sahi wewe. Acha Mungu amekunyima tu tafadhali. Anajua ungepotea. Any question? Hey, we Morgan, unaangalia hizi maswali? Sitaki vita baadaye.
Thank you very much for the chance. My name is Amaya Augustine. I have a question with regards to shares. Yeah. Okay, why is it that a lot of people prefer buying shares from private companies than public companies? And again, I did not hear you touch on the preferences with regards to the types of shares, because there are various people who prefer buying a certain type of share from a certain company because of maybe, I think, prices or something. Can you at least touch on that?
Good question as well. Your name is? Augustine. Good question. So the thing with shares is, no one wants to go and buy shares of the public. For example, like the IPO that was raised for KPC, Kenya Pipeline. The share was about how much? How much per share? 9 bob. Sindo, the IPO was for 9 shillings, initial public offer. The reason why it's a question of governance. Because many invest shares, I want to invest in a company that I can see in 10 years, nitapata pesa yetu. Umelewa? But we see with public, hawananga, their first motive is not profit. That's the problem with public. I'll ask you a very simple question. If you answer this by the end, nitakupatia kitu. The IPO for SpaceX, how much did it raise? SpaceX. It raised $85.7 million, the initial public offer. Why? Because people think that in the next 10 years, humanity can go to Mars. So you bet your money based on that idea. Mela, but a public, the entire goal for a public institution is society. Mela, so but most people say we are very capitalist. If you look at the States, football inakuanga only one half. Sindio? But right now, in States, they've introduced how many breaks? There are now 4. Because they're a capitalist society. You make money out of what? You make money out of ads. Good. So that's the reason. With shares, there are 2 types of shares. There's the ordinary and the preference. Preference is when you get them, nyinyi ndio mna consider yongo wa kwanza for nini? For dividends. The other one is normal, watu kaa sisi. But either way, you make money, even if it's ordinary, provided that the company has made money. So you get the margin out of what you've nini. So I see time is far much spent. Can we move to the practical bit? Ama there's another question. Hey boss, umeamua pesa yangu unaenda nayo.
Nilikuwa nitakuuliza on SACCOs.
Yes.
History ya SACCO, like about the security of my money. Recently tumesikia story ya Ruto and SACCOs and nini, unaona? But leave that alone. In SACCOs, how am I sure that this is for example, hakuna infiltration, like the government coming in and try to pull sources and all that? Because I also want to try and ensure manze, honestly kusema ukweli, the current place we are in, ni tough, inabidi at least you try like maximize, but then also the government is maximizing. So how do you, is SACCOs, actually my question is SACCOs secure? The last one is, umeongelela mambo ya decentralization in crypto. And you have the USDC, which is US backed. So my question is, do we now, right now, have the governments infiltrating the decentralized system and making it centralized?
Making it centralized?
Yeah, because then if you are saying it's decentralized, but then we have Akina JP Morgan or Shakam, it becomes now, they'll start slowly, within 7 years, they have hijacked the system. They have hijacked the network.
Okay. So I have good news and bad news. Nianza na gani? Yoyote. So the bad news with SACCO is you can prevent the government from infiltrating. Mela, but change your mind from the perspective, yeah, gava ina infiltrate, because then you block your mind. The whole idea for a circle is for you to raise, people hardly save money in a circle except uko ile miaka ingine, unajua umekunja kalenda kadhaa, but you save in a circle with a goal, so that probably you can get a loan or something like that. Umeelewa? So if you're looking at it in that sense, your entire goal is whether the government comes in or not, nikishapewa pesa yangu, I deal with it, me I lipa the loan pole pole, whatever they do, it's none of your business. No. So look at it from that perspective. You've asked a very brilliant question on the USDT and USDC. I actually thought you would ask something different, but it's okay. Government cannot infiltrate USDT. Why? Because of cryptography. You have coded the transaction. No one can be able to know. Part of what I wanted to show you in the laptop imekata, I can be able to send money right now in Russia for about whatever in under 1 minute, and I can be able, and gava haitaijua. So they can't infiltrate. It's a change of time. So what the government needs to do, in my own opinion, is to create a digital wallet that is backed by a USDT, a dollar, which makes it so easy that right now, you see the good thing about stable coins, nini, the USDT and USDC, you can be able to buy something in China right now without changing it to the yuan. Mela, you can send someone all over to China. It doesn't need to take the 10, 14 days. I stash my money and go with it. I can send it right now. Under 1 minute, I buy my things. They are shipped. 40 days, they're here. Mona. So that's a good thing. So government needs to find a way that they can bring in, either they use the USDT and they control it, like Wambiwa say, you can use it, but make it centralized like the USDC. Yeah.
I'm Josephine Mwende, KT 451. I have a question on the circles as well. I was asking, when you join the circles, do they require you to save consistently, or do they set you a certain amount that you should save every month, or I have no idea?
So the thing with circles, you have to save consistently for them to give you loan. So it's usually 6 months. So if you're able to save even 10 million in 6 months, well and good. You can go pick your 30 mic after the 6 months. So that's the thing. But they don't have like a T, I'm supposed to put like 1,000 every month. No. Niwe unajisave wewe mwenyewe. But now, the downside to it is, if I'm saving in a circle, and then 2 months later or 3 months later nisikie, niko na kashida na naitajio pesa, I cannot withdraw it immediately. I have to withdraw it. I can only withdraw it after 60 days. So that's the downside.
Okay, I'm Mary, KT 432. As for me, like in the conversation hapa mambo ya cryptocurrency, I'm floating, yani sijui anything. So, yeah, to be honest, that's my honest opinion. I'm floating. I don't know anything about USDC, USDT, sijui chochote. So, what strategy maybe would you recommend for someone like me? I'm a beginner, sijui anything na niko interested.
That's a good question. Sindio? But the thing is, Nanyajua, the whole idea for me to actually say this, it's to spark an interest. Sawa? And the thing about sparking an interest, there'll be two types of people who leave this conference. Kuna moja atatoka hapa hivi, it was so nice learning about USDC, USDT and all that. Aende a floss aseme vile anajua story na stable coins and all that. But then there'll be someone else who will probably go and open up a hot wallet account. The hot wallet account, you can maybe think of TRC20 or ERC20, and you can whatever, and you can go and research on it. No. So here the point is, the whole point of this is for you to be able to learn that there are so many ways you can be able to build your wealth or portfolio, but you need to start somewhere. So maybe for you, maybe the starting somewhere will be an MMF or a fixed deposit account. You grow it and probably have a percentage. Maybe say 20% of what you want to save can go to MMF. MMFs are very good for emergency funds. You can be able to stash your emergency fund in an MMF. You have a goal, you want to buy your mom land, for example, na umjenge. Maybe you can save sako after umepata do fiti. So that's the whole idea. So don't look at it ni kama nafaa kujua hii kitu sahi. No, it's sparking an interest so that ikusumbue. So that when you go, you can learn, you can grow, you can learn something, and then it changes how you're looking at people, changes how you're looking at money. And the whole idea for money, it is not that, the goal is not to become wealthy. Money is a tool that you normally use. Every one of us here is on account that money was used as a tool so that you can be helped out. Sindo, how about that you can build that portfolio for yourself, and that money you can use it as a tool for this society and create a legacy out of it. Sawa. Time is far much spent. I want us to do a very simple thing. Tuko na 2 practicals in that paper. So I want to make it as...
Excuse, there's a question here.
Okay.
Okay, it's a simple one.
Yes.
My name is Immaculate Wangoi, KT328. My question is on shares. How safe are the shares? Has there been a case where maybe a company collapses and your shares maybe are lost? And the other one is, what's the minimum amount that you can invest on shares? Or can I be having my first 8 shillings, then I go buy shares on Kakuzi, that's 1 share? Or is there a specific, a minimum amount? Yeah.
Good question. So with shares, they are not based on minimum amounts. They are based on the price per share. So for example, right now, equity is around what? I think 30 something. Safaricom as well. So if you purchase with your 30 shilling, you can purchase 1 share. So it's based on the amount that you have as well. But ideally, you normally go to a broker. So a broker helps you. CDS account, hizo vitu zote, anakusaidia. Think about Kingdom Securities, they're very good at that. You go and you invest in shares. The other question you asked is, kampuni kianguka unajua pesa yako inaanguka nayo. There is nothing you can be able to do. There is a company in the States listed on the NSE, na sao jina yake. A tech person in the night forgot to check the code yenye alikuwa ameweka. So there was a bug that was introduced in the code. By morning, it had wiped out half of the shares. So what do you tell those people? There's nothing you can say. Pesa imeenda. That's 2. There are people also who take advantage of shares, because shares pia ni kama a type of forex in a way, because you're taking advantage of the bullish and the bearish market, how share prices are changing, so that you can be able to make money. So think about it in that sense. So I want us to do a very simple thing. I think kila table iko na either 3 or 2. Sindio? So the first example is, I want us to go to the salary calculation flow so that it will be easier. Sawa. Go to the salary calculation. Hiyo ingine tutajibu baadaye. Maybe in the afternoon. So just go to the salary calculation. So normally, most of you, after memaliza campus, there's a high likelihood you will go, probably you're not into business, you'll go into employment. Sindio? So the first question you're normally asked at the end of the interview is, how much do you think you should earn? Unajua? Unakuwa na expectation, kijana mzuri, President Kingston, it's an open position, and then unasema 100,000. Sindio? Na unataka wakupigie makofi, umesema 100K. So the 100,000 that you normally mention is what we call basic pay. By basic pay, I mean it is gross pay. Sawa? It has not been subjected to what? To taxes. Sawa? What you get after taxes is what we call what? The net pay. Sawa. So you normally have your basic pay, then we less what we call allowable deductions. Allowable deductions ni SHIF, NSSF, na hiyo ingine ya kujenga manyumba inaitangwa aje? housing levy, affordable housing levy, AHL. So I'll ask a question. Very simple. Sawa? Very simple. Hii hata mwenye ananipatia sahi hata na tunaweza malizana tu sahi, by the way. Tunaweza malizana sahi. What's the percentage that an employee is cut on NSSF? First hand to shoot. First hand to shoot. Going once?
This is a trial. In a trial. 1.5%.
No, very good try. We naona ni kama ume Google. See, 6%. Good. 6%. So, ideally, employee ukatwa 6% of the gross, and then the employer anakatwa nini? 6%. So the total amount that goes to government is 12%. Simple. Hii ingine hasta uliza juu nimeona watu washa Google. Pesa yangu mnataka kuchukua. Anyway, SHIF is about 2.75. Sawa, good try. 2.75. Housing levy? Anyone? Simsha Google. 3%. 1.5, 1.5. Good. Sawa. So if you look at, so you less the total deductions, so what you remain with is what is taxed. That's what we call taxable pay. So you remove, it's what we call pay as you earn. So after umepata hiyo, you get the income tax, and then you add back what we call personal relief. Personal relief inakuanga 2,400 ya kila mtu anyway, so that you get the pay after tax and all that. So there's an example hapo. Uko na 70,000. So NSSF tumesema ni how many percent? 6%. Si ndio? So chukua 6% of 70k utapata ni 4,200. Sawa? SHIF tumesema ni 2.75. You take the 2.75 of 70k, you get what? The 1,925. Housing levy, the same thing. Sawa sawa. Then when you get it, the total deductions. So you less the 70,000 minus the 62,000. Minus the 7,000. You get what? The 62k. Sawa. So for the income tax, can I teach you how to do it? Let me see if I can project it, so that for the next example you can use it. Imekata. So write this down so that tuifanya raka raka. We have only 10 minutes to do this, so that itusaidie. Sawa. So andika 0 to 24,000, 10%. Andika tu kwa, even on that sheet somewhere, place yenye unaweza kumbuka. 0 to 24,000, 10%. Sawa. On the next 8,333, remember, on the next, so we have 0 to 24,000, 10%. The next 8,333, it's 25%. So, then the next 467, 667, 30%. So you have 0 to 24,000, 10%. Sawa. On the next 8,333, you have what? 25%. Then on the next 467, 667, you have got what? 30%. Tuachane na hizi kwanza. Hizi pesa ni mingi sana, si ndio? Acha tu handle zenye tunaweza saa hii. So for example, the 70,000 tumetoa the allowable deductions, si ndio? Imekuja 62k, si ndio? 62,000 and something. Sawa? So from the 62,000 is what we subject what? The tax. Sawa? So the first 24k ni 10%. Sawa? So the first 24k ni 10%. So that is 2,400. Si ndio? Bado tumebakisha pesa, si ndio? Kwa hiyo 62,000. The next 8,333 ni 25%. Sorry. So the next 8,333 ni 25%. Si ndio? Tumebakisha pesa bado. Si ndio? So the balance kwa hiyo pesa, you subject it to what? To 30%. Sawa? Tumeunderstand? Tumeelewa kabisa? Si ndio? Aya. So let's go to an active example. Si ndio? You have a basic pay of 120,000. Calculate for me the net pay. 120k, calculate for me the net pay. Fuata to your example too. There is no wrong answers, by the way. It's your first time. Most people hata counselors hawajui kuhesabu, by the way. Msijali, hawajui. The first one to give me an answer. So we have 10 minutes. So by sangapi? By 12:38 tunafaa kuwa tumemaliza. So good afternoon. Kuna mmoja ashapata, so kuna mmoja ashapata already. Yes. Hata wamepata. So unaona vile ni rahisi. So next time ukiingia interview room uambiwe unalipwa 100,000, ujue hiyo ndio yenye unapata. How much? So ukifanya 6%. Minus personal unapata 83. So I think kwa pay sawa. Haya, sawa. That's okay. Sawa sawa. So you can use that for your for just practicing. Sawa. Haya. Sawa, that's okay. Sawa sawa. Sindio? That's okay. We can try the next one mkiwa on your free time. Sawa sawa. In that book, so in this book, there's also, but I will not go into it. You'll probably, if you're really, really interested, I would want you to go and understand your loan amortization. The reason why I would say that you go and do it, it's because niko sure most of us here, the first thing that we want to do when we get employed is to buy a Subaru. Sindio? Sasa, because that's usually a very, that's the form of bad debt that we were talking about. You don't start from a Subaru. But you go to that loan amortization, just go to part 4, you'll see the loan amortization. So if you go to the loan amortization, you can use it to just check. You can just look at how much the car that you want to buy would cost. The reason why I put this here, it's because most of us think that the first thing that you need to do when you've found employment ni kununua gari. But you don't start there. You need to create a discipline for what? For your portfolio. So the reason why I put it here, it's so that you can go and play around with the figures. If that car that you really like, yako ni gani? Bentley Bentayga. You see, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of why it's a bad debt. Do you want me to give you an example why it's a bad debt? Sindio? Amesema Bentley Bentayga. Sindio? Who wants to buy an iPhone? Who wants to buy an iPhone? Mbona mnajifanya hamtaki kununua sai? Hata sitauliza maswali. Aya, unataka kubai Samsung? Sindio? S26. So if you want to know, si ati napatiana. Anyway, so if you want to know whether it's a bad debt, If I ask you what's the chip on the S26, you can't answer. If I ask him the engine on a Bentley Bentayga, he can't answer. Because we buy these things, why? Because of the facade that it gives us. Mela, if I even take a smaller car, probably I take like a CX-5. So, okay, it's a small car compared to the Bentley Bentayga. So if I take a CX-5, if I was to ask any of us, what's the HP, what's the horsepower on a CX-5, no one would answer. Unaelewa? So the reason why it's a bad debt, it's because we buy these things so that tuonekane tuko nazo. Umeelewa? But once you buy these things, the reason why I put that loan amortization is so that you can know the amount of money that you're paying what? On a monthly basis. So, and it's not a joke, because that amount of money, you have to reduce it from what? From your salary. Sindio? 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 So I want to do just one last thing. I'm at two last things. Sindio? Morgan, you have the results? Nisaidie na hii bag. So the reason why I'm Sati. Sati sana. You can sit down. So, I want to do a very simple task. So, you know, you have to be a man of your word. Sendio, you have to be a man of your word. So, one of the things I normally do when I travel around, I'll pick up a currency. So, I'll pick up a currency. So, part of what I want to give out, it's maybe one of the currencies maybe I've taken from somewhere. So, it is not for you to probably think that unaweza iweka kwa mfuko, but it's to encourage us that maybe hiyo hata kama ni $1, that you can use it to as your first deposit in maybe an MMF or maybe even a sacco. Sawa sawa. So who was the best? No, wacha tuanze na the third best. The third best. A tie of a number of people. Okay. So, ebu kwa hao watu wenye wako na the same points, ebu wataje nijue ni question gani ilikuwa relevant. Gabriel? Who is Gabriel? Oh, Gabriel. Okay, the one who asked for tunapata wapi loan, si ndio? That was a very good question. Augustine. Augustine, yes. Yes. Josephine. Josephine, yes. Immaculate. Who is Immaculate? Immaculate. Hey. Yes, hesabu imekuwa ngumu. Silvanus. Silvanus. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, I'm trying to think on how I'm going to do this. So, for the third position, since an MMF is usually, you can start with 500 bob. So I'll give someone the 500 shillings. So, I think Gabriel asked a very good question. Aya, sawa. So, we go to the second position. MC. So, MC, I will do something different for you because I think you've done a good job. Sawa sawa. So, but here's the trick. Here's the trick. You guys were two. Sawa. So for this 1,000 shillings, 500 goes to her, 500 goes to you. But then now the Turkish lira goes to you. Sawa sawa. Aya, so who was the best? Yes. Mwambie akuje. Umekaribia sana. So, the whole point of this is also to encourage all of us. Sawa sawa. There is no winner, there is no loser. And I hope that even as much as for all these things, that there is something that we've all learned. Sawa sawa. So for, what's your name? Vincent. So for Vincent, I'll give you $20. Sawa sawa. So for me to finish up the session, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope it is as practical as possible. Sindio? And because the whole idea for this session is for you to understand what you're taking home and how you can probably build your wealth. Sawa sawa. But I'll probably leave you guys with one quote. It's from a poem. It's a poem that I love. It's called Two Roads Diverged by Robert Frost. And there's a statement hapo chini on the last stanza that says that two roads diverged, I took the less traveled, and it made the difference. Sawa sawa. Two roads diverged, I took the less traveled, and it made what? All the difference. Take the road that is less traveled, for it will make all the difference in your life. The whole point of this talk was not for you to build wealth, but to use money as a tool, not only for you, but there is a family that stands on your shoulders. There is a society that stands on your shoulders. The whole point is not for you to be wealthy. It is to use it to build others. Always remember that. Asanteni sana.